Get this thing started already. Got that one there. This one here, Millennial Nation Worldwide. What is up? Welcome. Welcome to Millennial Nation Worldwide. We're going to be talking about some cool stuff. We're going to be talking about some news. Normally I talk about sports. We're going to be talking about some news stuff, though. So we got live chats over here. I got that one going. I'm going to start this one on the cell phone, see how this one goes. Put in all that other information later. Dr. Fauci, man. It's crazy what he's doing. Back in the spotlight again. Back in the spotlight. Welcome to Millennial Nation Worldwide. I am the OG Millennial. I want to thank you guys for tuning in on this great Saturday evening, right? Getting ready to start August off the right way. I don't know what you guys got planned for August yet. I don't have any plans other than working, but we are getting close to the end of summertime, I guess, right? Sadly, that's sad. Sad to see summer come to an end. Like Dr. Fauci, man, he's got to be feeling pretty sad. He's getting a lot of publicity right now, right? A lot of stuff going on about Dr. Fauci. YouTube, thank you guys for tuning in. This is Millennial Nation Worldwide. Just going to get right into it, man. So what's going to happen next for Dr. Fauci, right? That's my ultimate question for the group tonight. And anybody who wants to go ahead and chime in, leave comments. We'll be reading them and interacting and that good stuff. To start off with Dr. Fauci, right? I guess some of the main things everybody's talking about are the 1,000 pages of his diary that have been released to the public. If you wanted to ever have some insight into a man's life over the course of 2 years, there is a book that is now available, and you can purchase that, I guess, probably online at your local bookstores and whatnot. It's written by Governor Rand Paul, surprisingly enough. So I actually have some of the pages from his diary because I got interested, man. You know, they said his diary is out there. I'm like, all right, let me see what this guy's talking about, right? So it's like almost 500 pages worth of notes, 2 years, pretty much accumulative 2 years, right, from 2020 to 2022. And I scrolled quickly because there are so many pages, man. And each day there's an actual entry. This guy was dedicated to his diary and his journal entries. So I found a couple of them that were interesting, right? So I'm going to be talking about those a little bit later. And also the fact that he pled the Fifth Amendment 111 times, man. I don't know if that is a record or not, but I've seen a lot of court shows and whatnot, and cases that have been brought to the Supreme Courts and court systems where they're pleading the Fifth. I've never seen it done 111 times though, so I think that might be some type of record maybe for him. Possibly that would be interesting to see. I do remember most recent, Joe Biden, right? Gave him a pardon before there were any charges even brought against him. Fauci, that is. And the weird thing is the pardon for Fauci, it was actually dated all the way back to January of 2014, strangely enough, which is like 6 years before the whole COVID thing even, happened, right? Before everybody knew about COVID, this guy was already being forgiven for it. So the interviews that were given to him, or some of the questions rather, that were in the congressional hearing that he was in. And he pled the Fifth so many times that people just started asking him stupid random questions, right? And here are some of those questions. One guy asked what day of the week it is today. And Dr. Fauci pled the Fifth Amendment. Also, what color tie are you wearing is one that a lot of people are hearing about. They also asked him what color the carpet in front of him was. And he pled the Fifth Amendment on these as well. They asked him, what does the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution actually say? Right? And he recited it. Do you know who wrote the Fifth Amendment? And he pled the Fifth on that. And of course, they asked him if he had a copy of Section 192 of Title II of the U.S. Code in front of you, which is the exact piece of paper that he was reading each time. I probably should have downloaded that so I could be giving you guys that information, straight up. But I found it very interesting to see that, it was almost like a joke, right? It seems like this whole entire court system and trials and whatnot are just for publicity, because in the end, I don't really see anything happening to Fauci, right? Because he's already been pardoned. And I think that there are some like technicalities that certain people are trying to, like probably in the CIA and FBI and those high price lawyers and whatnot, they're trying to figure it out and they're doing investigations. But they've had I don't know what, 6 years now, 6 to 7 years, going on 7 years to do investigations. And here it is, 7 years later, stuff is finally getting exposed, right? And it makes me wonder, why is this stuff finally coming to light now? Like, what's taking so long, for there to be more exposure on this? Because it's kind of crazy not to think about, how quickly people forgot about the entire country being shut down, right? Even though it reopened, maybe 4 years ago, it almost seems like the blip from Spider-Man, like time gone by and it hasn't been a lot of time. And a lot of people have already kind of forgotten what it's like during the pandemic, right? That shit fucked up America, fucked up our economy, and it cost people houses. And more importantly, it cost people their lives. And because of that, right, we should take some time and try and figure out what's going on, like get some real answers. Because I don't have the real answers, but I'm trying to figure them out. And there are some places that I've gone to try and help me get the information. One of the people I went to was Stephen A. Smith. I respect his opinion on the political aspects because, as a black man, I relate to the black anchors, but black anchors who are able to look at world perspectives through both sides of the lens, right? Like a lot of the controversy with Stephen A. tends to be more civilly, right, as opposed to just normal. But he's able to put his civil mindset and politics aside to dig in and try and find answers to a real problem. And that's what he and Rand Paul did on Stephen A. Smith's show, Straight Shooter, the other day. You guys got to tune in and check that out because it was a great interview. I have some of it that I'm going to play because some of the things that they were talking about was just great insight and information. And it's stuff that I wouldn't be able to find if I were to try and figure it out, right? Like they had some good analysts go and do some deep dives and whatnot. But the stuff that Stephen A. was asking, great questions, man. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And hopefully I don't get in trouble for that. But Rand Paul, right? He's a son of another governor. He's got a doctor. He's a doctor apparently. He graduated from Duke University, School of Medicine, and he is an ophthalmologist, which is those who specialize in eye and vision exams and care and stuff. So he's an eye doctor, but because he has connections into the medical industry, he has insight and a reputation that he's built up, and he's kind of been a person who has been going against some of the things that folks like Dr. Fauci believe in, as far as doing chemical tests and biological tests on chemicals and the breeding of like bioengineered stuff, right? That's just way over my head. I got him that's going to do some talking about it. So I'm going to play that video. I'm going to do that right now, actually, just because you can get it out of the way and I can find out if you get flagged for it or not. But I got two cameras going, right? So hopefully if I do get flagged and they poll it, I could just, do an edit and edit it out and we could just repost this video right here. But so here's some of the information that Stephen A. was giving. You guys go on ahead and give it a listen. Tell me what you guys think about it. This is Stephen A. with guest Rand Paul. Right. I'm gonna stop it. Stop it right there. I'm gonna stop it right there because that's kind of what I was mentioning earlier, but was unable to explain accurately. Right. The fact that they're doing these genetic tests on animals and they're trying to create these like mutant genes. Man, it's just so weird and fascinating, man. That they're and most of these places are taking hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? Like that's what Stephen A is saying right now. Like the fact that they're taking American, ultimately, is the fact that they're taking American tax dollars and they're sending it into these funds that are going overseas, and they're funding these medical experimentations and whatnot in facilities overseas, and they're producing their results over there, and so that's what they're exposing some light on. The Wuhan facility is a medical like engineering lab over there in China. It was the whole reason why Donald Trump kept calling it the China virus, and saying it came from China, because it turns out that it actually was crafted in a laboratory in China. So, you know, the interesting thing that he's saying right here is the fact that it is like an actual thing. So, Stephen, here we go. Like, watch. Let him talk some more. Hmm. So yeah, that's my point right there. So that was my point, right? Is the fact that they are taking them, they're taking like our dollars, right? Like I'm out here busting my ass to try and earn a living, and I'm paying these crazy taxes, state and federal taxes, and then I find out, all right, they're taking a portion of that and they're sending it to other countries to like make shit that actually can turn around and hurt me in the end, right? So if this is accurate and true, like I'm glad that they're shining a light and exposing this shit, because this stuff, because like ultimately with that pandemic shutdown, like thank God I didn't lose him, but there are people out there who have lost and are lost shit, and so like it's we gotta get we deserve to get to the bottom of this, right? So there's some other stuff. All right, so that's some pretty interesting news right there, to find out that Fauci himself might have possibly been experiencing some bad and negative side effects due to the booster shots, right? Because it seemed like not only were they like pushing the COVID shot, but the booster shots seemed to be the more important aspects, right? Like every 6 months or so, it seemed like we had to go and get an updated shot. And I think even to this day, people are still paying to get booster shots. And I don't know where the booster shot rating is at yet, but I think it's up to like 9 or 10 booster shots, maybe even more, that people have taken since the pandemic had started. And that's only within 6 years, right? So that's almost like averaging more than one shot a year, which is crazy. So, Rand Paul came on here. I wanted to give him an opportunity to actually like talk, and we could hear from him, because he's been the one who did the insight and posted the book about the diaries to begin with. And so to hear his insight and how he drops a little bit of history on how Fauci has had ties with these organizations, and um, before the pandemic, right? Like back in 2014, and even earlier than that, 2010, right? Because, like I said earlier, if you remember when Joe Biden went in there and gave that pardon to Fauci, man, it wasn't for the COVID and 9/11 in 2020, man. That was dated all the way back to 2014 for some reason, right? So Rand Paul, after hearing this interview that they had, he exposed the light onto what happened in those years prior to COVID, right? And how the whole funding with Wuhan started to begin with, right? So we're going to hear from Governor Rand Paul right now. I don't know what his exact medical background is as far as biological stuff goes and chemical stuff, but he is a graduate of Duke University School of Medicine, and he is a practicing ophthalmologist, which works on the eyes. So here's what he had to say. Okay, I kind of jumbled up right there. I got four of the clips here, and I went from number four to number three, but for some reason it started to replay three at an earlier spot. So that's what that jumble up was right there. That's what that jump was right there. Again, we're listening to Rand Paul on Stephen A. Smith's show, Straight Shooter, and he has just given his opinions on what led to the possible COVID pandemic even starting. 600 and 600, that's 12. Damn, man, that's 1 million, huh? 1,200,000. Just so the math keeps on mathing. Thanks for tuning in. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. All right, so there it is, man. That's the Rand Paul on Stephen A. and the explanation a little bit as to where the tax dollars have gone as far as the investments that American tax dollars have made into funding overseas facilities that do medical experiments on stuff. And if you don't believe what you just heard from Rand Paul and Stephen A. in their discussion, then you could go and you could look at the diary book, because the diaries have a lot of crazy stories in it too. It kind of affirms some of the time frames and whatnot. One of the interesting quotes that Fauci had, though, was back in 2022 on CNN. He got up there. He said that if I become a punching bag, I'm a punching bag. He says that I'm happy to testify before any congressional oversight community or committee, rather. Sorry. And I have nothing to hide. I could explain everything and validate everything. He also says that it would be inconvenient that people are out there trying to make my life miserable, but I'm going to do what I need to do. That is cooperate fully, because we have nothing to hide at all, was his words. And then like he turned around and got on the stand and he pled the fifth like 111 times. So like, you go figure it out for yourself, man. Like you take your own opinion, man. But all right, 1.2 million Americans died, 7 million to 14 million were reported to die worldwide. And that was a report from the World Health Organization. So, it might be, I'm not trying to take light of this. I do find it a little funny, that he's pled the fifth 111 times, because that's just hysterical. But, there are people who lost their lives, right? So the World Health Organization said there was 14 million people worldwide, right? So I think they deserve some answers. Families that lost people deserve answers, right? I was talking with my mom, man. She might be listening to this, man. And we got heated discussions over that COVID vaccine, right? Because like I'm a guy, I didn't go and I didn't get vaccinated, and I definitely didn't get any of those booster shots either, right? But I respected those who did, and I kept my distance. I wore masks and whatnot. But I found out the most important thing. I found out who was an essential person and who wasn't an essential person, because essentially, right, that's all they did was tell you who had value when they shut down the country, because the people who lost their jobs and had to stay in quarantine were the people who the government does not consider important. And that's sad. I found out that I'm a vital worker, because if you got a swimming pool, then yeah, you gotta get your swimming pool cleaned, and you could buy robots and stuff, but you still need to add chemicals to your swimming pool in order to stay healthy, right? So I found out that I was an essential worker. And so when the shit shuts down, if it ever happens again, I'm safe. But it put into place that there are people who are not safe, right? Like you are not essential, essentially, right? So that shit is crazy, because if they did that again, it's like, all right, are they going to change the classification of who's an important person in society or not, right? So as far as my personal opinions and thoughts, man, like I got some personal thoughts on this guy too, man. Like I always notice he got like a smile on his face when he be talking, right? Like, because I've been watching him give interviews ever since he was suggesting for the country to shut down anyway. So like he always had like this little half-ass cracked smile on his face, right? As if he was happy to be in the spotlight. And like that aura and that arrogance that popped off, right? It kind of had like a sense of elitist to him. And man, I can't stand that in people, right? So you're sitting up here and you're almost being condescending as you talk down to the American people, right? That's how I felt every time I saw him or that lady get up there, and that was my other question that I had was, the fact that, well, first of all, everything being exposed on Fauci now, like I was saying, I heard 4 or 5 years ago when I was listening to Fox News, right? Sean Hannity has been shining a light on this for a really, really long time. And now that it seems like both sides are more interested, it's really taken over the mainstream media. And so, but what happened with Deborah, the chick, Deborah Bricks, or I think was her name, the doctor who she was saying the same stuff. She always had the little like sash around her neck. And she's probably going to be the next one who's going to take the stand, because she was like his cohort, right? Like where she was always right there on his side. And so I wonder if she's probably going to get in there and plead the fifth too, right? Like, I wonder if she's going to outdo Fauci though on pleading the fifth, right? Like is she going to be 115 times pleading the fifth, right? It would be interesting to see. But He has some diary entries. All right, so could read this guy's diary if you guys want to listen to this guy's diary. Fauci, you got a diary out. I put out a fucking guy's diary 2 years, all right? I think I could start a podcast and just read an excerpt from this guy's diary every day, and then I'd have 2 years worth of content for the people, right? Just every day. This is like the most bulliest shit that someone could do, right? It's like someone found somebody's journal. All right, I'm gonna read this journal if you don't do this and that, right? So that's what happens to this poor guy, man. I pulled up his journal and it's so long because it's 2 years. I'm just gonna go to a couple pages and read some stuff I saw in a couple pages because like I found it interesting and my computer's gonna die soon anyway. So we're gonna do page 8 of his diaries, right? So if you look at page 8, it says January 3rd, 2020. Influenza is heavy in the media. Did an interview with Elizabeth Cohen of CNN for her blog. Also did a live radio interview with John Cassimer for his Cats Roundtable from New York. Also yesterday, the U.S. via a precise drone strike in Iraq outside of Baghdad airport killed the leader of the Iranian Quds Force General. There has been over the past few days attacks on the U.S. embassy by Iranian-backed Iraq militia as a result of the fact that the U.S. armed forces attacked and killed 25 Iranian-backed Iraqi militias who killed a U.S. contractor and wounded several U.S. soldiers in Iraq. This is certainly led by the major escalation of tension and the retaliation from Iran. Also, 44 unusual cases of pneumonia in Wuhan, China, over the past couple of days. That's interesting journal entry right there. And then he says cases linked to seafood market. No human-to-human transmissions documented at this time. So this was at January 3rd, 2020. So this was before they announced the pandemic, if I believe correctly. If I recall, I think the pandemic was like January. Was it after January 6th or before January 6th? I don't know. I'll do more research on that. But another interesting one. Let's say I'm gonna scroll down here to page 52 because again, there's over 400 pages of fucking journal entries from this guy. Fauci's. Some of them are long and some of them are short, but he's so detail oriented in his writings for his own personal journal. Like, why is he so deliberate in the wording and the verbiage that he's using? You know, it's like as if he's deliberately trying to set himself up for future protection. You know, shit's weird. Okay. I'm not going to look for the pages because it's just too many pages. I mean, here's a random one: February 12, 2020. That one's too long, too. Okay, here's a short one. February 14th, 2020. Okay, making plans to deal with Americans on Princess Diamond cruise ship in Yokohama Harbor. Cliff flying to Japan to help design a clinical trial to treat infected people with remdesivir. It sounds like some medical treatment. And then he's off to China as part of a WHO-sponsored delegation. That's all right. So I don't know. That's kind of a random one. This guy's diary is on the internet, man. How does that make you guys feel? Does that make you feel like worried in case the FBI, CIA, or some type of government worker ever wants to kick in that door and not only take you down, but then expose all of your personal life stories over 2 years, man? And who keeps a journal this detail oriented, man? It's almost on the verge of like, yeah, I think he's trying to cover his ass with all of these. I'm not even going to begin to read all of them because it's just so much wording, so much verbiage, you know. So thank you guys for tuning in. Just some new stuff. I don't normally stick to the news. I like doing sports stuff and entertainment stuff, but this is interesting stuff to talk about. So thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. Yeah, that's that one. That one there. Let me go to this one. Yeah, thank you guys for tuning in, man. Appreciate it. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. We'll be back on. We're gonna do some sports stuff. We're gonna take it back to sports. Do some sports stuff, some entertainment stuff, man. We got that some Marvel movies. Spider-Man came out, man. Gotta check out that Spider-Man. All right, the news stream doesn't work well. Next time we're gonna stick with the sports, man.